Want to get more on this breaking news story. Vincent Smith being granted bail of 30,000 rand in the Palmridge Magistrates Court. Samkele, what did you see from your vantage point? What did you hear?
Yes, Vincent Smith was granted bail of 30,000 rands here at the Specialized Commercial Crimes Court in Palmridge when he's facing charges of fraud and corruption with his co-accused. That would be Euroblitz, a company that he is linked to, and the former Pusasa COO, now trading as African Global Operations. That would be Angelo Agridzi. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it to court today and was in consultation with the investigating officers due to health reasons, and him being hospitalized, he couldn't make it here to court today. But Vincent Smith is facing charges of fraud and corruption related to his dealings with African Global Operations, formerly trading as Busasa, amounting to a tune of about 800,000 rands of alleged fraud and corruption that took place between Angelo Agridzi, Vincent Smith, African Global Operations, and Euroblitz, a company linked to Vincent Smith. At this point in time, his bail conditions are that he must hand over his passport to the investigating officer. He must also not change his physical address without a 14-day notification, and he can't go near any of South Africa's entry and exit ports. That would be the international airports, and he's not allowed to travel. And if he's going to travel outside the Gauteng province, he's got to notify the investigating officers about 2 or 3 days prior to his envisaged trip across the country.
So we did hear that he intends also, Samkele, to plead not guilty to these charges.
Yes, indeed. He intends to plead not guilty with these charges, saying that he's going to prove his innocence and that the truth will prevail in a sworn affidavit that was read out by his legal representative here, in also saying that he will not interact with any of the witnesses that the state intends to bring forth to plead their case and to try to successfully convict him of fraud and corruption. So it seemingly looks like he is maintaining his innocence and he is pleading not guilty. He also went into his finances that he is a pensioner earning a salary of about 21,000 rands per month, and he went out to state the various assets that he has and the immovable and immovable assets that are under his name, and that he is not a flight risk and is not a threat to South Africa, and that it would be an injustice to keep him incarcerated without giving him bail. And the judge, of the magistrate rather, P. Fenter, saying that he is convinced by the affidavit of the applicant, that would be Vincent Smith, and that the state did not oppose the bail application, and that he's going to have to come back here to the Specialized Commercial Crimes Court on the 14th of October.
Yeah, it seems that the other reason that the magistrate was comfortable in terms of granting him this 30,000 rand bail was that Vincent Smith knew about this pending arrest for some time now. One of the other conditions, as you mentioned, of his release was that no contact directly or indirectly with the state witnesses. At this stage, do we know who's on that list in terms of the state witness?
By the back door, on the back entrance of the Alberton police station.
At this point in time, it's not yet clear who's on the list of the state of witnesses, who's going to come forth. It's not clear. He himself, Vincent Smith, said he does not know. The state was not forthright to the court as well on their witnesses. They would not state their names at this point in time. But we do know that one of the bail conditions is that he does not interact with the Secretary of Parliament. He does not interact with any of the committees that he may have served in Parliament, which may essentially have some evidence against him when it relates to his dealings with African Global Operations, formerly trading as Busasa. So it essentially looks like the state is holding its cards very close to its chest when it comes to the witnesses that they will bring up to the stand to testify against any of the wrongdoings that Vincent Smith may have done. But interestingly, the whistleblower when it comes to the issues of African Global Operations, formerly trading as Busasa with Vincent Smith, is one of its former chief operating officers who testified at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, which is Angelo Agridzi, who did mention the financial relationship that African Global Operations did have with Vincent Smith whilst he was still the chairperson of the Correctional Services Portfolio Committee in Parliament, which essentially oversaw the correctional services facilities in the country where Bosasa was doing business, potentially causing a conflict of interest of the chairperson of that particular portfolio committee and the company Bosasa.
Samkele, we just got a glimpse of him, Vincent Smith, that is leaving court towards the end. From your vantage point, describe for us his demeanor sitting in court.
He looked very stressed, if one may say, very subdued and down, but also speaking up frankly for himself. You could hear through his voice that he essentially was not okay. Even earlier on in the morning when he arrived at the Alberton police station, when he glanced and saw me walking to the vehicle which he was traveling in, he just glanced, stood there for about a minute or two, and then sped off around the corner, parked behind the police station. That's when we ran chasing after him. After seeing us there as well, he sped off and we don't know where he went. And at about 8:20 this morning, we then saw the vehicle coming again to the Alberton police station, being driven by one of his relatives, and then I suspected that he may be inside the police station. We went inside and we did see him seated inside the police station and giving his affidavit alongside his legal representative. After that, he was brought here to the Specialized Commercial Crimes Court here at Palmridge Magistrates Court by the Hawks, where he was essentially handed over and applied for his bail proceedings, where he has now essentially gotten the 30,000 rands bail and has to hand over his passport by the end of business today to the investigating officer. But essentially he is very much subdued and down.
All right, so Vincent Smith granted bail at the Palmridge Magistrates Court of 30,000 rand. Samkele Maseko working the story for us. Thank you very much indeed, Samkele, for your reporting.